great till they gotta be great. I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that. Even when I'm crying crazy, yeah, I got boy problems, that's the human in me. Bling bling, then I solve them, that's the goddess in me. You could have had a bad. Welcome back to my channel. If you missed it, I just got back from a weekend in Chicago. I went with my boyfriend to celebrate his birthday. I have 10 things you have to do in Los Angeles. I have 10 more things you have to do in Los Angeles. 10 things you have to do in Myrtle Beach, and 10 things that you have to do in New York City. And today, we are finally making the 10 things that you have to do in Chicago. Before we get started though, I did just want to quickly shout out a channel that I have been obsessed with lately. It's called Kaylin and Max. They're actually another Midwest YouTube channel like myself, but they're just a super cute, down-to-earth young couple. I've been following them for a few years now. I've watched them get married, buy their first house, and now they're actually expecting their first child. So if you're into family vlogs and just wholesome, cute content, definitely check out their channel. It's going to be right in my description box as well as in an iCard above. I love their videos so much, and pretty soon there's going to be a cute little baby on that channel too. So definitely go subscribe to Kaylin and Max and tell them that makaykay sent you. With all that being said though, I am decked out, ready to go. I've got my touristy Chicago hat on. I actually bought this the first time I went to Chicago a few years ago, and then I have on my navy Pier Chicago sweatshirt that I got from this most recent trip in Chicago. Definitely go watch my Chicago haul if you are curious or would like to know what else I purchased in Chicago. I did a little Chicago haul for you, and that will be above as well as down below. And the way that I like to structure these 10 things videos is I'm gonna go through 10 things that you have to do, and then I go through a list of restaurants and places that I recommend eating at, and then I'm also going to tell you where we stayed and if I recommend that place. All the footage that you're about to see comes straight from the vlogs that I posted, so definitely check those out if you want to see more. Let's get right on into the 10 things that you have to do in Chicago. Also, if you go to Chicago and do anything on this list because you watched this video, don't forget to tag me on my social media so I can see it, as well as let me know down below. While we're at it, don't forget to leave a like because it does help. Comment down below and subscribe to this channel. We really are like one big family with lots of love to go around, and it's never too late to join. All you have to do is hit subscribe. Also, don't forget to click the bell because this notifies you every time I upload a new video, and I always shout out the first comments on my social media, so be sure to be following me on that. Now, with all of that said, let's get on into these 10 things that you have to do in Chicago. Number 1, of course, the Bean. The Bean is located in Millennium Park. You really can't miss it. It's probably like the top touristy thing to do in Chicago. Embrace being a tourist. I love embracing it. It's so much fun. If you go, expect a lot of people no matter what. But that being said, there's always someone there to take your photo, and you'll probably be asked to take someone's photo at least once, because we were. Number 2 on my list is go to an art museum. So my boyfriend and I decided to go to the Art Institute of Chicago, mostly because it had a ton of pieces that I've been dying to see. I'm such a geek for art history, but I took a lot of classes in high school and college in art history, so it was really cool to see all these pieces and sculptures and items that I've studied in school actually in person. The Art Institute of Chicago is right across the street from Millennium Park. If you spend time at Millennium Park, you can just like cross the street and you're there at the Art Institute. I can't remember the adult prices for the Art Institute because we used our student discounts, and I think the discount was like 12 or 15. Don't quote me because I honestly don't remember, but it's definitely worth giving it a shot if you still have your student ID or are in school. And then they had a Manet special exhibit going on, which I freaking love because Impressionism and Modernism and post-war era art is like my ish. So to be able to see a ton of Manet pieces down to his very last painting that he did before he passed away, it was just super, super cool and surreal to see with my own eyes. My boyfriend Tyler actually has a print of this Picasso painting, The Old Man and the Guitarist, in his apartment. So it was super, super neat for him and I to see that in person. The museum is huge. We were there for maybe 2 to 3 hours, and it left barely enough time to see maybe half of the museum. Like, we really could have benefited from spending an entire day at the museum. I don't know how long it takes to go through everything, but we didn't have enough time and we were there for hours. This is something you'd want to plan to spend like an entire day at, just because there's so much to see and do and take in. Otherwise, a few other museums that I did want to go to was the Science Museum, the History Museum, and then the Contemporary Art Museum. They also have a Writers Museum. So those were some other museums on my list, but we chose the Art Institute of Chicago, and I'm really glad that we did. Number 3 on my list, cannot go wrong with Cindy's Rooftop. Every time I asked someone what I should do in Chicago before we left, every single person told me to go to Cindy's Rooftop, and now I'm going to be the next person to tell you to go to Cindy's Rooftop. It is right across the street from Millennium Park. It has the most amazing view of the Bean and just all of Chicago. You can see literally everything. It's so beautiful, and it's super, super close. So the way that my boyfriend and I planned out that day is we got breakfast really close to Millennium Park, spent a few hours in Millennium Park, walked across the street to the Art Institute, and then walked across another street to Cindy's Rooftop. It's all within a block of each other, which is super great because Chicago's a really big city. city. But if you can plan your day like that, you don't have to spend extra money on Ubering. They did quote us 40 minutes to get to the rooftop. Don't let that discourage you, because I work in a restaurant, so I get how quoting works, but usually it's not as long as the time they tell you. And by the time you circle around where you wait inside of the building, I think we only waited downstairs for like 10 or 15 minutes before we got up to the rooftop. Cindy's can be pretty pricey, so I definitely recommend going to Cindy's rooftop, grabbing a drink from the bar, and then heading out to the rooftop itself and just enjoying a nice drink and then grabbing dinner elsewhere, unless you really want to splurge. But Tyler and I decided just to do drinks on Cindy's rooftop. Breathtaking views. It was such a great way to just reflect on the day that we had together and enjoy some time, like not hustling and bustling around the city. Honestly, if that's like one thing that you just like, if you're going to Chicago, you gotta go to Cindy's rooftop. And then, like I said, since Cindy's is kind of pricey, Tyler and I just went downstairs and next door to Shake Shack, and we got our dinner there. The fourth thing on my list that you have to do is Navy Pier, hence the sweatshirt. The first night that Tyler and I got to Chicago, we went to Navy Pier and walked around. We also stayed super close to Navy Pier. It was only like a 15-minute walk. On our way to the pier, we stopped at Ohio Street Beach and watched the sunset. So again, if you have time, definitely check out that beach. It's a beautiful backdrop of the city skyline and then the lake. Navy Pier is super fun. There's so much to do. There's swings, a Ferris wheel, the pier itself, and then a huge building. It's so big. It's full of touristy shops and restaurants, and then they also have the Children's Museum of Chicago in that building as well. So there's just so much to do. And then we were actually there for the very first night of summer fireworks. I don't know if this is accurate, so don't come at me if I'm wrong, but I believe they have fireworks every single Saturday night off the pier, and we went Memorial Day weekend, so it was like the first fireworks show, and it was super special. I feel like we timed it perfectly because I had to go on the Ferris wheel. I love Ferris wheels so much. The Ferris wheel at Navy Pier is 198 feet tall, so I think it's the tallest Ferris wheel that I've been on so far. It's a beautiful view. We did it at night. I think it would be super fun to do it during the day as well, but you get like the entire city skyline as well as the lake right out there, and oh, it's just gorgeous. Like the best view ever. So I definitely recommend doing the Ferris wheel if you're not afraid of heights. And I also thought, since there were so many people, we'd have to share a cart, a box in the Ferris wheel. No, we got it all to ourselves, and the line still went pretty fast. I feel like we timed it perfectly because right after we got off the Ferris wheel, the fireworks started. And it's not like Disneyland where you have to like scope out a spot. It's like fireworks go off the pier and you just look up and you get the best view. So you don't have to find a spot and claim it as your own for 2 hours, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, fireworks are just so beautiful, and they make me all sappy and make me want to cry because I love them so much. But that was like the perfect first night in Chicago, and they serve alcohol off the pier. So if you drink or would like a drink, I definitely recommend getting a drink and sitting on the pier. So Navy Pier was definitely a beautiful start to our weekend in Chicago. We actually went to the pier twice. Oh, and the second time we went, which was 2 days later, we went to the Crystal Gardens inside. It's kind of like an indoor garden. It's so beautiful. We took a ton of photos in there. If you're looking for that perfect Instagram spot, girl, go up to the Crystal Gardens at Navy Pier and take some pics. It's very aesthetically pleasing and calming. So there's tons to do. You might want to spend more than one day at the pier. We went back twice, like I said. Number 5 on my list is walk the Magnificent Mile or Michigan Avenue. Depending on where you're from, Chicago has a ton of stores that aren't available in your city. For a long time, they had a ton of shops that Minnesota didn't have. There's a shop there for everyone, I swear. But definitely spend some time walking the Magnificent Mile, maybe splurging a little, treat yourself. And our hotel was actually right off of Michigan Avenue as well. So again, everything is super close. The city looks intimidating because of how big it is, but when you're staying in it, it kind of feels intimate and small, as big as Chicago is. The 6th thing on my list is the river walk. So definitely spend some time walking over the bridge by the river. This is kind of more south of downtown Chicago, I think. It's also another beautiful spot for pictures if you're looking for a good place to take Instagrams or go out to eat. There are a few restaurants right against the river. It's a really fun area. Spend some time there. The 7th thing on my list ties in with the river walk, and that is take an architecture tour on the river, aka a river cruise. This is super fun. I'm so glad that I did this. It is a little bit more on the spendy side. Tickets were $50, but for $50 you get a 2-hour boat ride down the river of Chicago and learn about all the history of the buildings around you. So to geeky me, that was like so cool. Some takeaways is now I know the oldest building that stands in Chicago. One of the buildings that they're currently building is supposed to reflect the river, so they used over 6 different colored glass on the windows. I also learned that Chicago isn't really built on the ground anymore. It started sinking because of the river. They pushed the entire city up by I think 20 feet. So when you're walking on the sidewalk, it might look like you're on the ground, but really you're like 20 feet in the air. I thought that was really, really cool. Oh yeah, Chicago is sometimes referred to as the Phoenix City because it was literally built from the ashes. It was also at one time the fastest growing city in the entire world because essentially it went from a population of 0 to over 1 million in 1 year, which blows my mind. But yeah, now I feel like such a nerd because I know all about Chicago, but I really love that stuff and I really recommend it. They give you complimentary cookies and soda drinks on the boat tour, and then they also have a bar for purchase if you want that as well. Especially if it's your first time in Chicago and you want to learn more about where you're staying, I definitely recommend that, and it's so fun. The 8th thing on my list is 360 Chicago and the Tilt. This is a newer attraction in Chicago, but in the John Hancock building on the north end, it was kind of north a few blocks of our hotel, there's an observation deck on the 94th floor referred to as 360 Chicago. It honestly has the best views. It's so beautiful. Again, this is something that you have to pay to go up to, but I think it's totally worth it. You don't have a time limit, so we spent a few hours up there. Also, this might be like a little life hack, but we went on a super rainy and cloudy day and the place was empty, mostly because of the fear of not being able to see since it was raining and cloudy, but from the footage you can definitely tell that it was still clear. We just had the benefit of no crowds, no lines, no one was there. It was literally just Tyler and I. The Tilt, if you haven't heard about it, is basically where you tilt 35 degrees on the side of the building over Chicago. It's exhilarating. I thought it was so much fun. I also thought it was pretty terrifying for like the first 10 seconds. When you move, if you experience vertigo, that might happen to me, but it was so fun and crazy, and I was on such an adrenaline rush afterwards. But I definitely recommend doing the Tilt. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience in my opinion. There were no photos or videos allowed during the experience, but again, they take a photo of you and then you can purchase it if you'd like. I gave in and purchased it. The last time I was in Chicago, my friend and I went to the Sky Deck in the Willis or the Sears Tower, and that is the building with the little boxes that stick out of the side of the 97th floor, I believe. That's another really fun tourist attraction. I feel like you have to experience both, but if you want to choose between either one, you cannot go wrong with either one of them. And then I also heard that the signature lounge on the 97th floor of the John Hancock building is super, super fun. I kind of forgot to go there and it was on my list to go there. Oops, so now we have to go there next time. I hear that the women's bathroom up there has the best view of the city. Oh, hello, Marnie. So, life hack, go on a rainy day because it won't be busy and you'll probably still be able to see everything, and it was super cool to watch clouds below us and to watch the rain below us. Also, this is the craziest part. You take an elevator up to the 94th floor and it shoots you up there. It takes less than 9 seconds to get up there. That is like 10 floors per second. You'll definitely feel it. Bring some gum. I was pretty dizzy when we got out of the elevator, but it's super fun. It was like a ride in itself. So yeah, 360 Chicago, definitely recommend. It was super, super fun and scary at the same time, but fun. Number 9 on my list is to see a Second City comedy show. Second City is pretty well known in Chicago. It's where people like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler used to perform back in the day, so they have some notable alumni there. And they have a few different shows going on every single day, so definitely make sure to look up what shows are playing and how much they are and what time they are. We wanted to see one on the main stage and it sold out every single day that we went there. I definitely recommend purchasing tickets far in advance for these shows or seeing one that's not on the main stage and in like a black box. And then we stayed in their bar area afterwards for some drinks, and that night is honestly one of my favorite memories because we were in a really good mood from laughing so hard during the show, and I just had a really good conversation with Tyler. Definitely recommend seeing a comedy show. Number 10 on my list of things to do in Chicago is visit Eataly off of Magnificent Mile or Michigan Avenue. Eataly was totally not what I expected. We ended up going there because I saw a restaurant on Google Maps that I wanted to go to because I was craving pasta, and I thought it was just going to be like inside of a little mall, but Eataly is like Little Italy. It's huge. It's full of so much wine and so many like cute little shops and things to buy in different restaurants. Our restaurant that we went to was on the 2nd floor. This place is enormous. I did not feel like I was in Chicago. I felt like I was in Europe. If you're looking for something fun to do that takes up a few hours, that also has restaurants, I definitely recommend going to Eataly. There's just so much to do there. Definitely look into that. Tyler and I had a blast. That ties into the restaurants that we ate at and restaurants that I recommend in Chicago. The first one being La Pizza y La Pasta, or Pizza and Pasta is basically what it's called, in Eataly. It was super good. I definitely recommend that restaurant or any of the restaurants in Eataly, but that was one that we went to and I think it might have been my favorite place that we ate at. Another restaurant that we went to not once but twice was Grand Lux Cafe. I was very excited for this because the last last time I was in Chicago, I went and I just remembered how amazing it was. They also have beignets, which is super hard, especially where I live in Minneapolis, to find a place that has good beignets, and these were amazing, almost as good as the ones at Disneyland. Not quite as good though, because nothing can compare to Disneyland. I also have 2 brunch places that I recommend. The first place is Wildberry. This was the first restaurant that I had been to in Chicago way back when in 2015, as well as the first brunch place that Tyler and I went to. Wildberry is located right across the street from the Bean. Perfect location. Don't be surprised if they quote you a super long wait time. Just expect that. I remember prepping Tyler, being like, okay, they're gonna tell us a long wait, don't freak out, like it's gonna be fine. Because first of all, it's worth the wait. Second of all, you're on a wait list on your phone, so you can walk around and they'll just text you when it's time to head back to the restaurant because you're getting close to when you'll be sat. They quoted us an hour and 40 minutes, and I think we only ended up waiting an hour. I know that sounds long, but like I said, it's the perfect location because it's right across the street from Millennium Park, so you could spend the entire time that you're waiting at the Bean, at the fountain, exploring the park and its sculptures, or you could walk to Starbucks like my boyfriend and I did. No matter what though, Wildberry is 100% worth it. It's definitely, in my opinion, like the best place to go. If you don't do anything else in Chicago, just go to Wildberry. Another cute cafe that Tyler and I went to for brunch the next morning was Yolk Cafe. Yolk Cafe was recommended to me by my friend Maddie, and I loved it. Mostly because my favorite color is yellow, and everything there is themed with its name, yolk, like an egg. So everything was very, very yellow and very happy, and they had such good food. I got chilaquiles, and it was the best with their signature hot sauce. Also, they have a few locations. They have one kind of like northern and south of where we were staying, so we had some options, but I really recommend that place. Super cute, just so cute. And like I said earlier, we went to Shake Shack for dinner, so if you were like me for the longest time and didn't have a Shake Shack where you're from, I don't know, it's just something that people like to get, kind of like In-N-Out Burger, so I recommend that as well. And last but not least, Tyler and I stayed at the Courtyard Marriott downtown. It was right off of Michigan Avenue. Perfect location. We were going for the cheapest, nicest hotel, if that makes sense. I know that prices change, and I guess I'm okay sharing this with you because you're probably looking for a place to book and would want to know how much it is anyway. I believe we paid $170 a night, which is kind of average, especially for its location. I thought that was a pretty good deal. We stayed on the 22nd floor, room 2212, so let me know if you ever stay there too, because that's where I stayed. The view from our windowsill was breathtaking. Also, it has a full-length mirror, which does not always happen in hotels. Every time I went to VidCon, I don't think we ever got a full-length mirror. New York, I didn't have a full-length mirror, so that was definitely a plus for me. And there's a pool, like the child that I am. Tyler and I spent a night playing in the pool like 2 kids. Also, the hotel is attached to a restaurant and bar, and we went there our last night in Chicago, so I definitely would recommend the hotel that we stayed at as well. Overall, Chicago was just a dream come true. It was the perfect first vacation for Tyler and I to go on, and I hope that he had a wonderful birthday in Chicago. That is my list for 10 things that you have to do in Chicago. Of course, there are dozens, if not thousands, of more things that you can do in the city. Comment some down below if you think I missed some crucial ones. Chicago is only like a 6.5-hour car ride for me, so I'll definitely be going back, and I would love a fresh list of things to do. So leave your suggestions down below. Again, do not forget to check out Caitlin and Max's channel. Super, super cute. Definitely go subscribe and tell them that I sent you. Again, don't forget to check out my travel vlogs if you missed them. I have our 4 travel vlogs from the 4 days that we were there, as well as my Chicago haul, which if it's not up already, it will be up soon. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon with my next video.